All right, look at this. This is always the best piece too. I don't know why that is, but the end pieces always get like the biggest holes.
We always find the end piece, by the way.
It's got the
two, so I always caught one for him and I got
Awesome.
Sometimes those are super tough though, the skin of the sourdough.
Yeah. But I mean, I like the crunchiness, so.
yeah, the crispy, crackly crust. Oh, it's looking pretty good. Pretty good. See, the crumb is where the proof of you know what you're doing is at. Like this crumb, if you don't have the right size holes in it, basically something went wrong in your fermentation. You either went too long or too short, depending on how the holes
are. Larger holes, you went too long.
The larger holes represent more gas.
Right.
And more gas, you're trying to blend out, how much it's digesting, the yeast is digesting, and you're just trying to time it to its best spots. These holes are, it's a good spread of medium and smaller size holes, versus a huge holes.
Yeah, because I've gotten sourdough and my kids love grilled cheese. But when half of it's a hole, I love grilled cheese.
Yeah, that
literally it'd be this much would be a hole.
Yeah.
That would be an indication of underproofed.
Okay.
If the holes are super huge, like this particular bread right here, you can tell has expanded and then began to collapse a little bit. This is on the further side of the proofing, but it's still within a good window. It's still a little bit warm too.
My mother tells me when you smell bread, you have to kiss it.
I tell Ryan when I'm smelling it. Oh my gosh, I wish I could just glue it to my nose and just smell it.
Right.
Yeah, my grandmother would do that. You smell it, you gotta kiss it.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, it's the great quality of flour.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
The flour, in our experience of working with various flours, we started off with store-bought flours, as most bakers do.
Right.
And then last year we switched to a locally sourced flour that's grown here in Wisconsin at an organic farm. But they're more than organic. They're a sustainable regenerative farm that, takes organic standards as to their minimums, and then they go beyond that.
Remember when you did that last year, you guys were so excited.
Oh my gosh.
We got the new flour.
Yeah.
It was,
and not only the flavor, but the amount of people with health issues that have chosen our bread because it's freshly milled, and the water, talking about the water too.
Yep. Yeah, it's kind of interesting, because I hear about people's health issues all of the time selling bread. And there's people with certain gut sensitivities that they can't handle a lot of things, but inevitably our breads are always handled by people with the highest levels of sensitivity, And I've never had someone say anything in a negative way about that,
No.
I don't know how they could.
So sourdough, typically with flour, with sourdough, people can typically handle the effects on the gut easier than they can if it's not sourdough. And that's from the fermentation, from what I understand, from the phytic acid that releases its bond with the magnesium, the iron, the calcium.
Well, that's a little bit scientific for me, but...
Einstein, because you could write a couple blackboards on it, but that's what I've heard, because that phytic naturally binds to the minerals, but then when the fermentation process happens, it releases, and that makes it more gut tolerable. Doesn't make it available for celiac people, but it makes it more tolerable and easier for people to digest.
Yes.
Bioavailability. Bioavailability. There's your word.
Can we get two of them up there?
Yeah. Bio.
I'll do bio and he's availability.
Possibly bioavailability. But yeah. And that's I think what you're talking about. Not that I'm a scientist either.
Yeah.
But as the artisan, you've got people coming to you and wanting to eat your bread because it's the real deal.
Yeah.
Food.
It's the real deal, real food, and the fact that when they experience it and they don't have the reactions of, the typical food allergy reactions that they have.
Right.
They just don't experience that with.
That's the fermentation process happening.
Yeah, to add on to that fermentation process is, for what I know of it, it's a living culture that we use. The starter is a living culture of yeast and bacteria, of which I don't know their names, but when we mix it into the flour, they digest the gluten, so they break down the gluten. So the gluten sensitivity that people have, it's like a pre-digested food.
Right. It breaks down the fructose and the glucose, the lactic acid does, which is naturally in there.
And that produces...
Lactic acid breaks down, and you've got the minerals that are released. So the fermentation process creates this amazing digestible bread. I think what also is, someone like you, an artist, and Maria, every loaf of bread is a work of art. It's a lot of love. We talked earlier about how much you love what you do, and you put your love into the bread. I mean, and it shows. It's a craft. It's not. You got the hearts.
Oh yeah, it's carved in everything. And that thought is extended in all aspects, and then it's Maria caps it off with her scoring. Ironically, it's easier to sell breads than it is to sell paintings. Maria loves to paint, but eventually she found an application for her, for that outlet,
right.
With scoring bread, which is the final step.
There has to be a heart, at least one heart in the batch.
Yeah.
But I'm making some bread with avocado. It's one of our favorites, by the way.
Yeah.
So.
Ryan said he will be happy if he lives out of sourdough and avocado every day.
And sprouts.
And sprouts.
And sprouts.
Mm-hmm.
Microgreens or sprouts?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, microgreens. There's a huge difference. What I meant to say was microgreens.
I've been learning that recently.
Mm-hmm.
And they're both great, but the sprouts are not as developed and don't have as much nutrient content as the microgreens. Is that what you're going with?
Well,
With flowers?
It's all I know is that when the seed erupts, the seed has all of the potential of the plant. So when it erupts, everything that is needed is right there. So there's differences in how far they bring it, between sprouts and microgreens, and how they have to take it for. It gets into things I don't know anything about, but
Sprouts are more developed. It's like a little plant, which you've got all over your house.
But
And you talk to your
Too
plants
many?
too, don't you? Because you said earlier you speak to the bread.
yes,
You talk to the bread.
ladies. Yeah.
Everybody.
Good morning, ladies.
Everyone's a lady.
Peace and love.
Here, get this one.
Yeah.
We need that one. That's the best one. So yeah, it's quite the experience to come in and work with people when they're taking this bread in and they buy this bread, and their reactions are like, in my entire life of sales, I've never had people react this well over our product or whatever we've been selling before. So it's like, it definitely tells me just from that aspect, we're doing something right.
Before farmers markets, and in recent times now, not everybody has availability to go get sourdough.
No.
Because the bakeries weren't even making it. The bakeries were pastries. The artisan bakeries just weren't as prolific and available for everybody.
You know what's funny about that? Maria and I have been talking about this. There's not a lot of difference between bread and pizza dough in the sense that it's flour, salt, and water. Now, our breads, now I don't know if you agree with that, but in the terms of 900 grams versus a 300 gram pizza dough, we're selling 3 times the amount of product, and we're selling at a lower price point than what a typical pizza would be. So that
Food for less money.
Yeah.
And most people use commercially produced yeast.
Some people.
And you guys, the pizza dough, it raises from 1 to 3 hours. And you guys go 8 to how many hours on your fermentation?
18 to 24.
18 to 24 hours.
Yeah, it's in the fridge for a good 24 hours.
Yeast you're talking about is everywhere. It's on the planet. It's a natural yeast, that starter that you have.
Maria started it. She started it with just taking flour and water and then changing it out every day until it started fermenting.
Yeah, like everybody else, but I'm like, I'm gonna stick to it. And you know what? I was very impatient. Like prior to sourdough, like I wanted everything for yesterday.
Right.
Like, no, like I need to have it now.
Oh.
And this is where I learned. Because I had to feed it for 14 days, twice a day, a certain amount of flour. And every day I will see if it's growing or if it's not. So
And this starter that you have now is the one that you've had for
almost 3 years now. Yeah.
Is it 3 years?
October.
21?
Yeah, October will be 3 years. And we started.
it's your baby.
It's
Because
my
you got to
baby,
keep
yeah.
it alive.
Oh,
You
yeah.
got to keep.
You
You
know
got to
what?
feed
Ryan,
it.
Ryan wants to feed it. He's
Well,
like,
you
"Can I help you feed it?" I'm like, "No,
So you
I
feed
can't.
the
that's
starter.
my baby."
Yeah, I'm not allowed to touch a starter. Technically, I can't even make a loaf of bread without Maria because I have no access to the starter. It's protected.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. And
That's
there's no
hers.
secret, but her and I have this. You know, she taught me a lot of things. I wasn't a baker. I'm a teacher. I graduated as a teacher. You know, but the need of moving out of the city, the desire to eat healthier than what we do, you know, just one day I just started making it and I'm like, oh, I think I like this. And I like to cook, but I never thought I would like to
did
bake.
you know this relationship was going to be part of your journey?
No.
With the bread? I mean, because
Not at all.
feel it. When you guys talk about it, I'm like,
So when
That's
we,
pretty
when
special.
We, when we met, you know, he's like, let's move out somewhere, and I'm like, well, I cannot close daycare like today and let's go, right? I'm like, just be patient because something will come along,
Mhm.
you know. And he's been very patient up until now because he would like to be out in nature and just enjoying a different type of life. But I'm like, you know what? Something will come up and we're gonna be able to be more flexible. Obviously, we're still working, but we don't work every day. you know?
Yeah, having
So- But yeah, so you know, out of nowhere, we start making it. I start sharing it with my peeps at the gym, and those are my special peeps, you know, because thanks to them is when
they honored your craft at the beginning,
yeah,
yeah,
inspired you to continue
yeah.
and grow into Peace
So,
and Love Sourdough.
I have to say though, Ryan has been a big influence because he's like, you know what, let's do it. But I'm in I'm more guarded.
oh
How
yeah,
about if people don't like it? How about if something goes wrong? You know, and he's like, no, let's do it. So
When I met
think
you at the
we
market for the
balance,
first
yeah.
time, I thought you were all in right away.
No.
How far along were you when I met you
No.
at the market? The year
Oh.
before?
Yeah, we met at the last.
This will be year
the
3.
first year.
So we met in 23,
23. Yeah,
and you guys were naturals right away.
yeah. Someone said, my favorite coach said to me, "Hey, you need to sell this," and I'm like, okay. And he said, "Okay, Maria." He did say to me, once I open the website, it's all over. Like, you're gonna be busy. And I'm like, I guess, okay, let's try it. And he did. And he said, okay, the Google page is live. And the very next day, right? Remember you were in the garage and I came to the porch and I'm like, Ryan, guess what? We got an order. And he says, I told you. And since then.
Peace,
Yeah.
love, and trust.
Yeah, you got to trust the process.
Right.
I mean, when you don't know all of the steps, I mean, you just got to go with what you're loving doing. And
Yeah.
I mean, you know, the process about sourdough is incredible. And the fact that we've made tens of thousands of loaves. And I can tell you that every batch I've learned something new, a new little wrinkle into how to make bread in a certain way. So this last batch that we made had a certain consistency that we've never had before. When I saw them all on the cooling racks and I saw how even and consistent and the coloring and the spring was on all of them, I'm like, wow, we've come a long way, you know, in all of that. So, and there's just, you know, you got to dial in all the details.
Right. The subtleties of humidity. You know,
Temperature, time and temperatures.
Say though, summer is a very tricky
challenging.
time because it's hot.
Right.
So you gotta make sure your water is not hot. It
Right.
has
Too
to be
hot.
colder, you know, because
Yeah.
it's been like our first summer, you know, we were overproofing our bread because obviously we didn't know.
Don't tell people that.
Yeah, why not?
Now we'll talk about the other ingredient that you mentioned earlier when we were talking. You know, I also make fresh food, and you got to be aware of the temperatures, but
Yeah.
you also got to be aware of
Oh yeah, your heart.
you.
Yeah.
And we talked about how you love when you talk to the ingredients
Oh yeah, I love
and
it.
make sure that you're in the right space
Obviously,
to
everybody knows
create.
now, but when when
Yeah.
nobody's home, you know, it just feels good.
Yeah.
I was telling Ryan yesterday, I said, you know, I work as a childcare provider for 16 years. And I never felt so welcome, you know, like the way I feel now. Like I go everywhere and everyone knows us. Oh, Maria and Ryan, Ryan and Maria, you know? And everything is positive,
Right.
you know? So it feels good. It's like, okay, I can do this for a few years and then, you know, just move on to the next stage.
And your intentions, you talked about your intentions before when you make the bread. You said it feels you, it feels your hands, it feels your intention. I think that's powerful. What you put into the bread, the people are experiencing. And that's a gift. That's like I said earlier, every loaf of bread is like a work of art.
Thank
But
you.
it's more a piece of each of you.
Thank you. We like it.
It's a piece of peace and love.
He's
That
the
goes
peace
in.
and I'm the love.
Too cool.
Yeah,
We collide.
Yeah.
It's authentic. People feel it when they see you too.
We like
You know,
it's fun.
you brighten people's day. You know, I tell people the best way to
People
lift your
brighten my
spirits,
days.
lift the
too.
spirits of other
Oh,
people.
yeah. My last market in Sheboygan, I was telling him that I had like 6 ladies, older ladies, just chatting with me. I was the center of the conversation and we're all having a good time laughing. They're asking about me and how we did it, and obviously my silliness comes out, you know. So you see all the ladies laughing and cracking at my jokes, and it feels good. Like I left the market, you know, with the feeling of accomplishment. You know, I accomplished not only selling my bread, but accomplishment of someone new is gonna try a good quality of bread. You know, so that's all. That's
And
all
I
it
like
is.
you know, I do markets. When market season ends, it's a little,
Oh, yeah.
not emptiness, but you miss
Oh,
the
yeah.
because
Oh, yeah.
they become family. People that eat your food become family.
Every week.
They show up.
Yeah.
And you know, there's a little bit of winter markets, but every week we just get so much love this time of year.
Yeah.
And it's a gift.
It's fun.
I look at that as a gift.
It's fun.
Truly.
We're excited for the
We
new
get to be
adventure for real.
Yeah, you've got a trailer that you're going to have this year.
Yeah.
At the markets with
yeah.
something you designed.
Well, and to, you know, come back to something you said before about how, you know, it's more than just the bread. It's creating an environment, you know, that people, it's a conducive environment. When we're selling bread and we're freshly baking it at the market, it sets a certain tone. It has a certain smell to it. It creates a certain want and belonging of when people, there's just a comforting smell of fresh baked bread.
Yeah.
And so I wanted that environment since day one, but it's been a long journey to get to that point of, you know, there's a lot of things that I didn't know anything about.
Yeah.
And now that we're here.
Fresh baked bread, the smell. I grew up in our household, my mother made fresh bread. And she told me the story. I'd go to school and come back and go, can I have that soft bread that the kids have? You know, I didn't know how blessed I was, you know, that my mother made fresh bread for us. That was always bread was in the house rising, but she didn't make sourdough.
Okay.
But still the smell, like we're talking about, that to me is like familia. It's
Yeah,
home.
definitely.
It's comfort. You know, there's just something about it. Yeah.
So it's not,
Cool.
yeah. I mean, and that's why we do what we do, and that's why we use the ingredients that we use. You know, just it's the highest that I can conceive of. If anybody can tell me a better way of making it, a higher quality source than what we have, I'll listen definitely. But I think we hit it.
With
I
the
think
quality of your grain. And the water you were talking about is at the farm where they're growing this?
no, it's we collect water from what's called Perry Spring. And it's a town that's due west of here. So we go out and we have a whole thing that we do. And we fill up our 5-gallon containers just fresh from the spring, you know, every week. And then we use fresh spring water and freshly milled flour, you know, so the highest form of water, you know, because water reflects everything perfectly. You know, you can look at any lake and see a perfect sunrise that reflected in it. Something flies over it. It's a perfect reflection. Water is a really special ingredient. And so you got to treat it the right way. So that's why we do what we do. We go and collect the highest, you know. On contrast, if you use city water out of the tap, that's, you know, coming through the waterworks and through all the pipes, and who knows how old the pipes are and all of that stuff.
Right.
So it's picking up all of that intention too,
Right.
you know, versus, you know, fresh out of the earth, out of a spring. you know. So that's
But I have
Making me
struggled.
smile hearing it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have to
That's the
say
real
though, in
deal.
the beginning I kind of struggled because I wanted a mixer. I wanted a nice oven. And he's like, no, no, we don't need a mixer. And I'm like, okay, let's start, you know.
This is the mixer, your hands.
Lefty and righty, you know.
No technology there.
and what ironically what I learned is that I can mix faster than most of those big mixers. You know, once you know how to work with the flour and the water and the stages that it wants to be, the big mixers are just, they're almost, for us, gimmicks in the sense that you don't even want to do it that way. You know, it's like there's better ways of doing it. Granted, a mixer can develop a certain strength in a certain period of time, but it's just, you know, it's a machine.
Yeah.
You know, it's
We like
that's
the
the aspect.
The
You listen
artisan
like Tai
part of it.
Chi.
I listen to handpan music, you know, typically I'm like, you know, we should play. And it's like, all right. The first like 2 minutes, it's really easy going on. And after like 3 minutes, it gets strong enough where I know it's all on. After 3 minutes, it's basically taken care of. All we have to do is a couple folds later on and it's full up to strength. I mean,
That's a different technique. He folds and I stretch. He folds different. Like he folds from the bottom top and
Right.
I stretch
Okay.
from, you know.
she lifts and I just use gravity as my advantage. I'm like, why do you lift that way? Why do you lift it all the way up?
I had the muscle to lift. So if I'm not
I'm
going
too-
to the gym, at least I'm working out. you know?
Maria's-
So
You're definitely stronger than me, that's for sure.
Do you listen to certain music, you said, when you do it?
Yeah, definitely. Like,
we don't listen to the same music. Though.
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah, I do though. It's all like meditative music, you know, like hands and, you know, like instrumentals.
Right.
And so, yeah, normally these tables will be laid out with these mixing pans that we have.
Collection of pans.
So these pans,
Take a tour with Ryan there.
yeah. So we have these pans laid out on these tables, the whole thing, and then they'll be filled up with flour. And of course, you just do a couple mixings on it, and I just work down the line. You know, it's kind of, you know, but that's one thing that we figured out too is once we get like 10 pans going, the timings on when they're finishing is what we're improving now. So to get a good 15-minute gap between pan to pan to pan, so when we separate and put in bannetons, you know, we have time to do the separation where the first pan is 15 minutes retarded from the next pan. And so there's a sequence to go through when you have a bunch of pans of doing.
Once you start, you don't stop.
Yeah, once it's on, it's a go time, and there's Mother Nature is going to say it. We use these straight wall pans because these pans allow us to measure the height of the, you know, how much it's fermented, and that's really the main key. Is that if it starts off right here and it goes to here, that's 100% proof, you know, versus we start right here and it gets up to here. That's about where we want to start. Doing our separations. And once that happens, it's they get loaded into the fridge and they stay there for another 24 hours and then we'll bake them. But the process that we go through is just not really achievable in most commercial bakeries. You know, like when I see bakeries running, they always inevitably go to sweet bakeries, and if they have sourdough, it's always like a specialty at the end of the week. And so ironically, we kind of wound up in a niche where most people don't want to be, but it's where what everybody wants when they know. It's kind of an ironic spot to be in. I'm like, why isn't everybody doing this? You know, because, well, it's too expensive. I mean, you can make bread a lot faster than what we do it.
Right.
A lot faster and a lot more mechanical than what we do it. All of the big factories, I mean, they
Yeast. Hour
Yeah.
later, boom, boom.
get a 400-pound mixer going on.
You mixed it, made it, and you're baking it, and you're done.
Oh yeah, give me the money. You know, like,
Took you 4 hours to go get the water.
yeah. I mean, it takes a couple hours.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But
Yeah. So
you're you. That's why you two have what you have.
Yeah. I mean.
yeah, and
But
Nate,
going back to be patient, something will come along. We got it, you know, and it just came out of nowhere. It wasn't thinking like, oh, I should try to make bread. No, I wanted to make bread for us on a summer day. And I'm like, oh, I guess I can do this, you
The
know?
patience. Yeah, like even in
That's
the
when I
kitchen with
learned
Yaya, as I
cooking.
tell people,
Yeah.
if I get someone new in the kitchen, I go,
Oh.
this isn't, we're not rushing to get out of here.
No.
We need to take the time to make it right,
Yeah.
incorporate everything together, and and then it's right, then we move on to the next step. And we're not, this isn't a task list.
Oh yeah, this isn't. You gotta enjoy. You gotta enjoy what you're doing. If you're not enjoying what you're doing, then it comes across in a, everything can get frustrated when it doesn't go that way. Versus, and then again, that all of that frustration gets transferred. So, but it's a pretty simple process once you learn it. I mean, it's amazingly simple once you learn it. But there's a lot to learn. There's a lot of nuance to get it right. So we're pretty happy with where we're at, and
It's a passion project.
now it's just a matter of our main issue is refrigeration space and oven space. So to getting everything done, and it's not about anything other than that. For
Simple.
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 all right, let's have a slice.
You guys wanna try?
Microgreens.
Oh, and I had a couple
Pea shoots.
pea shoots, little fibrous.
These are from
Cardinals.
Great Lakes Green. A friend of ours, he grows this up in Sheboygan, and nice guy. So he gets us some of these and always corrects us when we say sprouts into microgreens.
No. Cheers.
Microgreens. It's amazing.
The funny thing about photography and videos is anytime you're filming somebody eat, it's always like a kind of an awkward, because your face is in a position that you're not quite used to. I know I was taking pictures of people at a wedding one time, and I realized that it's hard to take pictures of when they're eating. So I just stopped doing that.
It's delicious.
Well, everybody makes faces when we're eating.
I loved your sourdough before, but hearing that whole story, it's just so powerful and it's so genuine. I didn't know you were the mother of the yeast and
That's in the back
the
of my
starter,
shirt.
proud parent of a sourdough starter.
Notice I don't have
Okay.
that on my back.
You don't have it on your
I don't have that on my back.
lovesourdough.com.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
aware of where she's at, what she's doing. These are your offspring.
She's so beautiful that when we're done mixing on a Thursday night, I let her go to sleep. I let her in the room temperature overnight until Friday night. And then I will put her in the fridge. Some people don't put it in the fridge, I do. And it will stay in the fridge up until Wednesday afternoon, so it can go back to room temperature. And if I lose track of her, when I come into the kitchen, she's bubbly. She's so active, But I think also is the quality of the flour that we use to feed her, So I even tell Ryan, I can make bread right now with this starter because it's so active, it's so bubbly.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's a real relationship.
yeah, definitely.
Billy, come on.
Let's go outside. That's Lily, by the way. At the same time, we appreciate you, and a lot of people has been giving us a nice helping hand,
That's what we do.
Maria, this is the new one. The new Yaya's spicy Thai. Can we try that?
Oh yeah, because you like spice.
We don't shop at Sendix, but we go to Sendix.
Just for Yaya's.
For Yaya's. No. You want one?
I'll try a little. You can do a half a piece.
Okay.
You cut that in half.
Oh, this
Yeah,
half?
you cut that in half. You got use extra virgin olive oil on this one.
Oh. I'm
Wow.
looking forward to my breast.
Oh,
I was just talking to Ryan
her
about it
olives
yesterday.
I love her olives. I've been
She's
waiting for them.
This might be a new favorite.
She's got another one that she
Oh,
came
really?
out with.
Oh, really?
High-end first press.
I look forward to her.
So her normal olive oil is not first press?
yes, but she's got a special bottle, different deal.
Oh, all right. All right.
Wow.
Yeah, because in our experience, that's one of the highest we've found. I mean, I don't know what would make it a higher quality olive oil. I really don't.
This is good.
Right? I mean, how would you describe it? Besides good, delightful? Oh yeah, welcome. Not too.
I would like this one.
Not too hot.
No, it's not one. But again, all Yayas. I'm okay with all of them. They're really good.
Your bread really complements it.
Oh yeah, we got to be doing this at the market. You know, we'll have this out. We'll have some Yayas. Do some, you know, like you said before, feeding people.
Yeah.
You know, doing the. But you have an art to that too. The way you can talk and go through it, and you know how the people like it, and
Well-
make the right size bites.
Like Maria, I just, it's easy for me to be with a group of people and just be myself. And tell them to spit their gum out. Or you come to the farmer's market with gum, spit that out and come over here, let's eat. Have fun and giggle with them.
It's funny, when you're doing these sets, you always want to make sure everything is kind of looking like how you want it to look. Because when you're doing your editing, you always see things laying out that you don't want in a certain
You
way.
used to do some photography, you said, right?
Yeah, back in the day.
Well, he still does. When he's not mixing, he's taking pictures.
Okay. Oh.
Yes, but it's a different type of pictures.
Yeah, it's real far out stuff.
He does a lot of water photography, but his own.
Elemental, technically.
Okay.
Water, fire, space.
Okay.
I'd have to show you sometime.
That's what we do when we go camping. We play with a lot of pictures and with the fire and just the water. We like to go to Lake Michigan.
So we get the sourdough, we take it home. It's in a bag because you got to bag it up.
Mm-hmm.
How do we get that?
Crust.
Why does it go soft, and how do we get it to crust up again when we get home?
Oh, well, it's real simple. You can take this loaf when you get it home, and if it's not crispy still, you can put it back in the oven for about 10 to 15 minutes, hot oven, like 450. Spritz it with some water, and when it comes out, it'll be perfect. The crust will be crispy, the crumb will be chewy. You don't have to worry about drying it out in that 15 minutes.
Because it absorbed moisture when it was in the bag.
Right. The crust itself, obviously there's a lot of water in here when we make it. And when we bake it, obviously the outside layers, dry out, and that's what causes the crispiness. So then when you put it in the bag, the natural process of aging, the crispiness leaves, just humidity will change it. And that's what you're trying to do. You're just trying to change the outer water level.
Popping it back in the oven, you're taking the water out, crisping it up.
Crisping out just a thin little layer on the outside. So when you bite into it, it has that nice crispy,
Don't
crackly
leave the
crust.
kitchen. Don't leave the kitchen. Keep an eye on it.
Oh yeah, it's hard to.
Your babies.
There you go. There's they are special.
Yeah.
But what I was gonna say, I was gonna just say, obviously we just wanna bring the moist back into the bread. If you put the loaf just directly without spritzing it or with water, in my personal experience, it comes drier.
Okay.
So that's why I like to tell people just to spritz some water all around the loaf, not like soap, just a little spritz of water and put it in the middle rack. I will go 15 minutes, starting at 15 minutes, and if the crust needs a little crunchy, just an extra 2-3 minutes.
What temperature?
450.
450.
Yes.
Perfect.
Although our bread doesn't last to that point, to that stage, because we get people, it didn't last, or one full day. It's all it takes. But I wanted to say that our most popular sell one, the flavor is the jalapeno cheddar. Among the men in our booth, the men are the ones that choose the jalapeno cheddar the most. Yes.
Wow.
Even if it's a wife coming to get one, they would say, "Ooh, my husband would like a jalapeno cheddar."
You know, so there's something about the jalapeno cheddar that guys like the most.
Yeah.
Yeah. I call it the guy bread.
The guy bread. Yeah.
Like, if there's a couple in our booth and they're hemming and hawing on which one to get, and he decides, I know it. I mean, if I was a betting man, it's going to be the jalapeno cheddar.
We had an experience
Dude,
last
right.
summer at the Pewaukee market. There was a guy who came with his wife, and she said, "Oh, you're gonna like the jalapeno cheddar." And we had samples, and he's like, "No, I like this one." The jalapeno, he even make like the face, and I'm like, "Well, if you try it, you might change your mind." Oh no. And she said, "Dude, just try it." And he grabbed one piece, put it in his mouth, and he's like, he didn't know what to say because I'm like, "You like that one?" And he said, "Yeah, I do. So can we just take this one?" He said to his wife, and I'm like, "I told you, you know, there is something. There is, you know, I think it's plus the inclusions that we put into the bread that makes it really delicious."
Yeah. Well, everything that goes in, it has to be you have to look at it. You have to apply some conscious awareness to whatever you're doing. And I mean, when you look at option A or option B, which one do you feel is better? Who did the better
Right.
with everything?
But yeah, so that's pretty much us.
Simple. Peace and love sourdough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for spending time with us today.
Yeah.
Thank you for visiting.
We like it.
We got fresh
That-
baked bread. I mean, it wasn't really tough to be here.
I mean, tough job, right?
Okay.
It will be nice for you to come and make a video.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, someday.
Again,
Yeah, we'll do something.
do it on both sides.
Yeah, we can.
We're on inside.
Yeah, definitely.
So next time we get together, we'll take a look at Peace and Love Sourdough trailer at the
Yes.
market.
Yeah.
So opens up when?
Sneak peek is May 31st.
May 31st.
Yeah.
Memorial Day weekend, sneak peek.
Yes. So
See you there.
Come get a love.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Love.
I do the no.
Yeah.
I'm the love.
Yeah. Look, almost a whole loaf.
Need a love for bread.